Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got a little bit of work we need to do on the skid steer. Just kind of need to go over it. Need to change the hydraulic filter for sure, probably the fuel filter. Give it a once over. We're getting ready to have to use it a lot more. Then I think we're going to go up on the hill. We've got one more tree up here, right up there, to cut up and get out of the way so we can build the next stretch of fence, which is going to be this west fence over here that runs all the way up behind that brush pile and up to the corner. There's quite a bit of fence there to build. I think we're going to be putting that in 6-strand barbed wire with posts on 12 feet, which is like what we did on this cross fence here you saw us build in the last video. So we're going to get the skid steer fired up and get the boom up in the air so that we can get the side panels off the back, raise the hood, and we'll go from there. All right, as you can see, we've got the boom all the way up. We did move it around here to the back of the truck where we can get in and out of toolboxes and do whatever we need to do. One very important thing when you're working on one of these and you got the boom all the way up, you see this pin? There's a lever inside the cab that kicks that pin out, and that keeps the boom from crashing all the way down if something were to happen and a hydraulic hose bust or anything catastrophic like that. And that pin can save your life. So if you're going to be working on it with the boom in the air, always extend your boom lock. So on to getting the side panels off. Once we get them off, then we can go to town doing our service. And I think we're just going to do hydraulic and fuel today. We might check into the final drives. I've got one that I think is leaking just a little bit, so we need to pull the plugs on them or the inspection holes, and just make sure they got enough fluid in them. This machine's getting some hours on it, and finals is something that you do not want to have to replace. And I've got a bad suspicion that we've got some issues with these, and they're probably going to give me some trouble in the future. So we want to take as good a care of them now as we can, make them last as long as we can, because that is an expensive fix. So we'll check them and do hydraulic and fuel, and then we'll be ready to go to work. Okay, got our side panels off. Boy, it's nasty in here. I'm gonna have to blow out radiators and coolers. This is a hydraulic cooler. This is intercooler for the motor. Then on this side, we've got the radiator and air conditioner. So I always run a clear 5/16 inline fuel filter. This is a Wix. Pick them up at the local O'Reilly's. Usually buy 2 or 3, 4 at a time. Then we've got our final filter water separator. I don't change this near as often as I change those. Those I probably change every 20 to 30 hours. This was a rental machine before I bought it. I believe it's got some junk in the bottom of the tank. Those clog up pretty fast. That's usually what gives me the most trouble on the whole machine. I just keep replacing them. They're inexpensive and it's cheap insurance. And these filters here are a little more expensive, so we don't like to clog them up as often as we would if we didn't run that filter. So hydraulic filters on this side by the cooler. It's pretty easy to get to, easy to change. So we're going to change those two, probably the inline, and go from there. One more thing, guys, before you pull the old filter off the machine, always check that they gave you the right filter at the parts store. So here we are. For hydraulic filter, we've got a AT 314164. We've got an AT 314164. So we know we've got the right filter. Now we're ready to pull it off and get it changed. I guess I should have brought a drain pan for this. Usually just leaks just a little bit off and then stops. Boy, does it make a mess. It's a good thing we got towels in the truck. I think I'm gonna go grab a couple. Get our handy dandy shop towels here. Clean that off so we keep hold of it. This is a lot nicer to do in a heated shop, but when it's got to be done, it's got to be done. And it's not too bad out today. It's pretty nice for February. I think we're in the high 40s. I'll find something to pour that in a minute. Got some empty jugs in the truck. Get my hands off a little bit. We'll get this new filter on. One more quick thought. I always lube up this O-ring, usually just with whatever oil I can find. Something clean, obviously, but always lube that up real good before you screw the filter on. It just helps it come loose easier when you go to change it the next time. So we're going to spin that on. Hand tight as we can get it, and we'll take our pliers and give it just, grab it right here at the top where it's good and strong. We'll give it just a little bit, and that's that. That's all there is to it. All right, we're going to do the same thing now with the fuel. We'll check our numbers. Have to wipe them off just a little bit there, so you guys can see that. We've got an RE 533026. Our new filter here, we've got an RE 533026. This filter's not a spin-on, as you can tell. It's got this goofy latch-in system with the keeper ring, and it's kind of a pain. I'm not a big fan of them, but it is what it is, and we deal with it. So let's get you set up here. We'll get this one changed. It's kind of tricky to get a hold of this just right with a pair of filter pliers. Because of this fuel line here. I went the right way. Wish you all would have said something. Oh yeah. She's nasty in there, bud. Get that out of the way. I'll show you this. Look how nasty that is. There's been some water in there at some point, somehow. Ugh, not good. Line everything up, push it up on there. Put our locking ring back on. I guess that's what you'd call it. Actually go the right direction to tighten it up. Boy, I just don't like these. They don't like me either, I don't think. Go straight. Plastic, a lot better if they were metal. You could kind of pull the filter up there where it seals good. Okay, now that we've got that on, we've got to grab a screwdriver. On a diesel fuel system, when you change a filter like this, it creates an air pocket. So to get rid of that air pocket, which will cause this thing to not run and have, it's a bad deal to have one airlocked. We need to fill this filter. This button up here is a pump. There's a bleeder valve. So we get a screwdriver, we loosen this bleeder valve, we pump this top button until the filter's full. When the filter's full, fuel comes out the bleeder valve, and we tighten the bleeder valve back up, and we're ready to run. Got my handy dandy flat screwdriver. I'll stick that in there. Loosen that valve about a turn or so. There we've got fuel, but if you'll watch, we get air. Sometimes you have to tighten them up, pump a little bit. Pump, crack the valve, tighten it back up, right off. This is another thing that I just don't really like on John Deere stuff. It takes forever. To pump this filter full. And if you don't, it will not run. I did that one time. It took me 2 hours, I think, to get it running, to get it primed. We may be here all day, folks. All right, guys, we finally got it bled. I'll tell you what I did because I didn't catch it on camera. Something with this pump in the top of here is not working right. So we took our pliers, and this unscrews. You can actually see all the way down into the filter. We took that out, filled the filter full of diesel manually. I left the bleeder valve cracked, started the machine, and that purged any air that was in the system out the bleeder valve. As you can see, we kind of got some diesel everywhere. It's a mess. Probably not the right way to do it. I'm sure there's a better way. I don't know what's going on with this. The last 2 or 3 times that I've changed this filter, I've had this trouble. So we're gonna have to investigate that a little further when we get some shop time with this machine. So now that that's done, we'll check the oil. It burns a little bit of oil. We just want to make sure it's not too low. I'll set you up here. Grab a rag. Pull this dipstick. This is a long, nasty, snaked in dipstick. Give it a good wipe. Of course, the oil's nice and black. It's probably due for a change, but I don't have stuff to change it here with me today. That'll be another, as soon as we get done with this job, we're gonna have some time back at the shop before we start the next one. We'll finish doing our maintenance when we get it back there. There's just a few things I wanted to check today while I had a nice day. Looks like our oil level is good. Oil looks good. Not any kind of funny colors or green or blue or look like chocolate milk. So we'll put this back in here. We're gonna button these sides back up. Then I'm gonna see if I've got the right tools to get in there. See if I've got the right tools to pull the plug out of each final. And we'll look at them and see. I think, yeah, they take an Allen socket is probably the best way to do that. So we'll do, I parked it where this side was level to the world. We're kind of sitting on a little hill here, but it's level to the world, so that means the oil level should be even with this plug. We'll pull that plug and check it. My guess is it's low. I think I've got a quart of gear oil in the truck. So let me set you down, dig up some tools, and we'll get started on that. All right, so for this, looks like we've got mud packed in that, which is not surprising. I need to shovel my tracks out. I don't know if you guys can see that. The sun's kind of funky. For this project, got our old handy dandy brake parts cleaner, the sharp end of a chainsaw file to clean the mud out. Then I picked up at the parts store today a set of metric and a set of standard. These are Allen head sockets. I think those will come in handy to keep in the truck. 3/8 ratchet. We've got some GL5 John Deere 8090 gear oil. Can't forget my GoPro stand. We'll stick you guys there, and let's see, better raise you up a little bit. I think that'll work. Maybe get you in here where you can see what we're doing. I'm gonna start by cleaning this out. Dig all the mud out of there, because if you don't get that socket fully seated in there, they're bad to strip out. Once you get one stripped, they are really a booger to get out. Get that cleaned out real good. Now, let's see. I think these will be metric, but I got both out to check. Is it going to be a 7? No. It's going to be a 6, which means I got the, ooh, that's a little big, or a little small. It's a little small. Let's try a 1/4 inch. Oh, that fits just beautiful, bud. Just beautiful. So I'm going to have to go find a 1/4 inch ratchet. My 3/8 is too big. I am not even sure if I have a 3/8 or a 1/4 in this truck. Not in there. Which one of these was sockets? All right, so I found this cute little fella. It's 1/4 inch. I think that'll work for what we're trying to do. Hopefully we can get enough torque on this to break that loose. My Lord, what is going on here? That sucker is tight. Let's try one more thing. Now we got the old DeWalt. Let's try that. See if that'll break her loose. There we go. And as you can see, oil coming out. Oil looks pretty good, actually. We're gonna wipe this plug off. It's got a little bit of metal on it. Just kind of some goo. We'll wipe this off. Boy, that's nasty. Oh, that's nasty. We'll wipe this off. Put this plug back in. And we're going to repeat the process on the other side. All right, now for side number 2. This is the one that I feel like has been giving me trouble. It's kind of acting funny. This sprocket wore funny this time. I just don't know what's going on. And if I remember right, last time I changed the fluid in the finals, this is the one that had a leak in it and was low. I'm wondering if that didn't cause some damage to something, and it's just now showing itself. That's been several hundred hours ago. The oil in the final drives is not something that gets changed frequently, but it is important to do. So we're going to pull this plug out, see if it's got any metal shavings, clean this out, and see how much fluid it's got in it. yeah, bud. That's nasty. Look at that. That's not good. She's not good, bud. Wonder how chunky that is. It's not too bad, but boy, it's just sludgy and nasty. Look at that. Oh man. Clean that off. Boy, that's stinking stuff. If any of you at home don't know what old nasty gear oil smells like, consider yourself lucky. I always hate messing with it. Get it on your clothes. Oh man, it just never comes out. It'd ruin a whole load of laundry. We're gonna clean this off. I'm gonna go get my quart of gear oil, and we're gonna try and see if we can put some in here. Like I said, John Deere GL5, what it calls for. We're gonna dump some in here, or squeeze it, I should say. I think these hold a little less than half a quart. It didn't take very much to fill it. Oh boy, that's nasty. Good and tight. Got our bit back. There we go.